So today I'm going to be making my crocheted rectangular placemat, and to do this pattern the stitch that we'll be using will be a star stitch. This is a really nice stitch. It's a very easy stitch once you know how to do it, but it gives a very intricate look. So to begin the pattern we're going to be chaining 61. The yarn that I'm using is Estelle Sudz. I really like this yarn. It is soft and very flexible. It's a really nice yarn to work with. I know I can get that here in Canada. I'm not sure about anywhere else. I did look online to see, but I didn't really see too many places that sell it. But if you do go to yarnsubstitutions.com, there is a really good list of other yarns that you can use that might be more readily available to you. But obviously with that you may need to do a different gauge swatch to get the right desired length. So for this pattern you just need to make sure that you're using an odd number of stitches. So now that I've chained 61, I'm going to begin the pattern. The ends of each of the star stitch rows we will be using a double crochet stitch. If you're in the UK, this is a triple crochet stitch. So to do this we're going to be yarning over and then going into the stitch that is the third one over on the chain. So the third stitch in is the stitch that we're going to use, and we'll go ahead and do a double crocheted stitch, and that is your starting stitch. You can also at this point add a stitch marker in that very first stitch. I do find stitch markers help because some of these end stitches tend to fall over the edges. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but they can get missed and lost along the way, and especially as if you are a new beginner crocheter. So I would highly recommend adding some sort of stitch marker. So now we're going to go into our star stitch. So to do this, the first loop we're going to pull through is in one of the side bars, well, one of these little loops on the side of that double crochet stitch we've just done. Then we're going to pull through a loop. We're not going to work it, we're going to move on. The next loop we're going to pull through is within the chain or the stitch as we go on of that we've just worked. So the stitch we used for the double crochet. Then we're going to go in and do 2 more loops in the next 2 chains or stitches. And then I like just to take the base and pull those loops up on my hook a little bit. If you pull them up too far, you'll make the stitch bigger, which if you choose to do that, you can go ahead and see how the pattern turns out. I just like to pull them up just a little bit. And then what you do is then yarn over, pull through that yarn through all 5 of those loops on your hook, and then you chain 1 to seal off that stitch. And there you have it. You have your very first star stitch. It's a bit like a half star. It's not like a full star, I've decided, but it is a very pretty stitch. So we're going to be repeating this stitch all the way along the row. But obviously for the next stitch we don't have the side of the double crochet to go into. So we're going to go into that last loop on the far left side. This is why if you don't have it too tight, you don't struggle like I am right now, trying to get that through, and also battling apparently. Is that a cat hair? Sorry about that. So anyway, you pull through that loop on that side stitch, then we're going to go into the stitch that the last stitch that was worked, and then in the next 2. So loop and pull through, and then give it a little bit of a pull to pull those loops up onto your stitch and keep it nice and straight. Yarn over and then pull through all of those 5 loops. Yarn over again and do a chain. And there we have it. We have our next star stitch. And we're going to continue this along the row until we get to that last stitch. So again, you can see where I'm pointing to here. You want to go in that last loop there. I only go through the 1 bar. You can go through the 2, I believe. I just find it easier just to go through that nice single bar. So yeah. So once you get to the end of the row, you're going to be finishing it off with a double crochet stitch. Once you've done this double crochet stitch, you will chain 1 and turn your work. The next row that we're going to be working after that will be a single crochet through the front loop only. Now, if you're in the UK, that is a double crochet stitch. So yeah, and then we'll be working that along the entire row. So you can see here, I just got to the end of that row, I've chained one, and then I'm going to go in that front loop of that stitch. Now this will be my first stitch, and this stitch I am actually going to add my markers as well. I just find it so much easier to know where my ends are. That yarn over was total habit. Anyone else have those habits? You get into the groove of how you're working, and then you get to another row and you think, no, don't do that. We don't yarn over for this one. It's not a double crochet. So yeah, I will continue working this. I made a few stitch markers a while ago, and this is one of the ones that I made. I do find when you can make your own, you can make some little custom ones, and I found these really cute little charms. This one here is just a little teapot, which I thought was very, very cute. Now you can use those stitch markers that are a little bit easier, the loops that just clip in, the quick release ones. But I found because it's such a long row, I'm not having to change them too often, and I find those other ones tend to slip out sometimes, especially if I gather it together at the end of the night and put it to one side. So I do actually like the ones that I clip in for times like this. Now once you've got to the end of this row and you've finished doing the single crochets through the front loop, we're going to chain 2 and then turn our work. And now we're just going to continue that pattern, like again from the first row, beginning with a double crochet, and then we'll go into our star stitch, get to the end of that row, end with a double crochet, chain 1, turn, and then single crochet through the front loops. And we're going to alternate those 2 rows for the entire pattern. That's how simple it is. These are our 2 foundation rows, and these will be repeated throughout the pattern. See here, this is the other one that I made earlier, and it's completed. You can see those beautiful star stitches, and now we're going to add the tassel. I do think that this tassel adds a little bit something extra, and I would highly recommend adding it. It does take a little bit longer and it's a little bit fiddly, but it just finishes off this placemat really well. And you can just sit and potter with this. It doesn't need to get raced to get done. So yeah, so what you need to do is you'll cut all of these ends. Again, you can customize how long you want these tassels. I have used 2 strands of each yarn around, I believe it's like about 5 to 6 inches in length. I will then thread them through. You'll see the holes actually where the double crochet rows are, and there should be these gaps and holes on either side, different ways, but on either side you'll see those gaps, and they're the gaps that I put those tassels into. And then I just fold it through and then add those knots. I find this way of doing it just makes it quite secure. You don't have the risk of it undoing itself. So you just wrap it around your finger, thread it through, and then pull it tight against the placemat edge. Now you could leave it like this, but we're not going to. We're going to take our yarn and split the plies. This just gives it it's a lot of more of a fuller tasseled effect on those ends. This is the tedious part, but if you just sit on an evening and just sit and pick those plies apart, it's done very, very quickly. And that's it. You just need to trim those edges just to even it out and get the desired length that you want. And there you have it. There's your placemat.